Fucked it, friend, it's on its head, it struck the street. You're in Milwaukee off your feet. And once I knew I was not magnificent. Straight above the highway, chicken feet can stick with her. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Oh, shall I stay? Would it be a sin? Oh, if I can't help falling in love.
You can be seated. Well, it's worth reflecting for a few moments on what we're doing here. I mean, why get married? Why marriage? And as I talked to James and Lauren and asked them that question, the first thing that they said was that they wanted to get married because they wanted to enmesh their lives together, deeper together. And through this process, they believed that that would happen, that they would give themselves wholly and completely to one another. That means that, James, at the end of this, you get Lauren. This beautiful, intelligent, charming, caring woman. And Lauren, you get James. Marriage is a permanent and exclusive legal commitment to share your entire lives with one another. And so, though, it's still worth asking, why marriage? I mean, why the legality? Why the formality? Why the ritual? Why the celebration? One of my favorite singers is Joni Mitchell. She has that beautiful album, Blue. And for those of you who are older, you know what I'm talking about. For those who are younger, open up the window of your lives and let the light shine in. Well, Joni Mitchell, in the middle of this album, she says, it's called, this middle of the song called My Old Man, she says, we don't need a piece of paper from the city hall keeping us tried and true. And yet, ever since Joni Mitchell, people have still gotten a piece of paper from the city hall and gotten married. Why? Because relationships flourish under commitment. I'm from the Christian tradition, and we would say that that is true because God made us that way. But it doesn't take the coming from the Christian tradition to understand that. In fact, ancient people used to know that they would commit themselves together and that relationships flourished under commitment. How they would do that is they would have this pact or treaty called a covenant. And there would be this ceremony, kind of like we're having now. And in the covenant ceremony, they would take a calf and they would split it in half. And then the two parties would walk down the calf and they right down the middle, and they would say, if I don't keep my end of this deal, let this happen to me. What happened to this calf? Well, I know your fondness for animals. And I have a little surprise for you guys. I talked to Moniz. It's okay. You can bring out the calf now. I think it's a good idea. Well, we won't be splitting any calves today. But what's going to happen is that they're going to make a legal, ritual, public commitment to share their entire lives with one another, to commit to this lifelong process of enmeshment. That's what is happening today. And that means that this relationship between James and Lauren, it is going to be the priority, the primary relationship, even more so than the relationship with their families of origin. And so let me ask, in light of that, who gives this woman to be married to this man?
Her mother and I.
Well, F. Scott Fitzgerald said that part of the beauty of all literature is that you discover that your longings are universal longings. You know, art has the ability to do that, does it? To take us into deeper realities of life and connect us with other people in a way much deeper than we can just with words expressed through what we can say. Vincent van Gogh said there's nothing more truly artistic than to love people. As some of you may know, James loves literature. It's one of the things in which has moved him and connected him to other people. And so during this time next, we're going to have two of their friends, of James and Lauren's friends, Jeremy and Kristen, come up and read two passages which say something about their understanding of love and commitment together. So you guys can come up.
Hello. A reading from James's favorite book, Stoner, by John Williams. In his 34th year, William Stoner learned what others much younger had learned before him, that the person one loves at first is not the person one loves at last, and that love is not the end, but a process through which one person attempts to know another.
Brief context to this is that it's a father talking to son. Love is a temporary madness. It erupts like an earthquake and then subsides. And when it subsides, you have to make a decision. You have to work out whether your roots have become so entwined together that is so inconceivable that you should ever part. Because that is what love is. Love is not breathlessness. It is not excitement. It is not the promulgation of promises of eternal passion. That is just being in love, which any of us can convince ourselves that we are. Love itself is what is left over when being in love is burned away. And this is both an art and a fortunate accident. Your mother and I had it. We had roots that grew towards each other underground. And when all the pretty blossoms had fallen from our branches, we found that we were one tree and not two.
Well, I must admit that that is a first for me. Jesus, if I planned a wedding, I've seen readings refer to him. I've seen readings refer to Paul, maybe Moses out there, but Stoner, that's a new one for me. I get to talk to you guys now before you take your vows, and it's my great privilege to be able to do that. I'm going to let other people listen in if they want, but I'm going to be talking to you. I said earlier that marriage is a permanent and exclusive legal commitment to share your entire life with someone else. And that means the basis of love is not feelings, but a commitment, a decision. That's what I loved about that second reading from Captain Corneli's Mandolin. That he's talking to his child, the father, and he's contrasting these two types of love, what he would call being in love, romantic love, with real love. And he says, love is a decision. Love itself is what is left over when being in love has burned away. And that's pretty countercultural because most of the movies tell us that love is candlelit dinners and love is catching a cab in the rain. But really, I think, in marriage, where the real love is love is when you burn the chicken and when you hit the cab in the rain. It's in those moments where you love one another, where a marital commitment is really expressed. You see, today, what you guys are about to do, it's not based so much on your feelings, though it is about feelings. But it's about much more than that. It's about commitment. When feelings ebb and flow, it's a promise to love one another. It's not so much about how much you desire to receive, but how much you're willing to give. And so the primary problem in marriage is not incompatibility, but selfishness. Where problems arise is not incompatibility, but selfishness. Because no matter how compatible you are, anyone in here who's been married long enough knows this, that there's a place and a time when compatibility will come to its end. And that's when real love begins. When you commit to one another there, at that place. And Joni Mitchell has another song in that album. And in it she says, I hate you some, you know I love you some. I said I love you when I forget about me. And that's it. I love you when I forget about me. You see, you're about to make promises to one another. And those vows, those promises, there are no ifs in them. There are no, I love you if you do this, or when you do this. There's just, I love you. Till death do us part. I hate you some, I love you some. You know, I love you some when I forget about me. See, love is how you treat one another when you come to an end of your compatibility. In marriage, it's not based on feelings. It's based on a set of promises, vows. Marital love is a commitment to unconditioned love. There's no if clauses. There's no getting into it like a business transaction. I scratch your back if you scratch mine. Oh, you stop scratching my back. I'm going to stop scratching yours. A lot of people, that's how marriages end up, and that's where they're really stale and awful. Don't live like that. Commit to one another wholeheartedly. I hate you some, I hate you some, you know, I love you some. I love you when I forget about me. And so that means that marriage is based on vows. You're about to take vows, and those vows are going to be the foundation for your entire relationship together. So I want to do something right now. I want to practice those because they're pretty big. All right, so you ready for this? We're going to do a little trial run. So, James, I want you to repeat after me, okay? You don't have to call me sir. I know I'm Southern. It's okay. I, James, take you, Lauren, to be my wife, to love you, with a backpack on my back, hiking through Yosemite. I promise to plan ahead and to pick up around the house. Lauren, you ready? Yeah, you like that, didn't you? Your turn. So, I, Lauren, take you, James, to be my wedded husband. And I promise to love you by taking tennis lessons. And when it happens that I beat you, I promise not to rub it in too much. And I do promise to take a break from Snapchat when we are hiking in Death Valley. Good job, guys. Yeah, you're ready. I think they're ready. What do you think? Yeah. So marriage is a permanent and exclusive legal commitment to share your entire life with someone, regardless of your feelings, regardless of your level of satisfaction. And it's to share your entire life with someone else. That right now you are committing to give yourself 100% to one another. Not partly, but 100%. Your hopes, your dreams, your passions, your fears, your insecurities, you're promising to let this other person into it all, to be completely known as you were completely loved. And that's what we all want. We want to be completely known and completely loved. See, marriage and marital love it's what we talked about. It's nakedness in every area of life. And it's to be completely naked and completely vulnerable, and for someone to see your greatest strengths and your greatest weaknesses, and to say, I love you, and I accept you. I accept you in spite of these things, and I accept you when I see these things. I accept you, and I love you. It's unconditioned love and unhindered, in the midst of unhindered vulnerability. And so, James, commit yourself completely to Lauren. Let her know everything about you. Your deepest dreams and desires and hopes, your greatest fears. Don't hold anything back. The places where you struggle, the places where you rejoice, let her in. Everything. Lauren, give yourself wholly and completely to James. Don't hold anything back. The places where you struggle, the places where you fear, the places where you get excited and you dream, give it all, always. Give it all to one another. See, marital love, it searches the depths of people, and it's not content to know part of someone. Marital love says, I'm not content till I know all of you. And I'm going to chase you even to the point where guilt and shame say, no, don't come any further. And say, no, I will love you there. And continue to love each other there. And that means that marriage is actually the scariest and hardest thing you'll ever do. Because being known, really known, is scary because we don't feel like we'll be loved. But when you're known in the midst of unconditioned love, when someone knows everything about you and says, I love you and I accept you anyway, well, that's your greatest dream. That's your greatest hope. And that's why marriage is not only hard and scary, it's also exhilarating, powerful, and safe and secure when you have that. Be that for one another. Well, marriage is a permanent and exclusive commitment to share your entire lives with one another. This relationship is the primary relationship. And so that means that you have to care more about one another than anything or anybody else. So, James, Lauren's tears need to be the tears that matter most to you. And her smile needs to be the smile that matters the most. And her heartache needs to be the heartache that matters the most to you. And her desires need to be the desires that matter most to you of any human desire. Hers come above everything. And Lauren, James's desires need to be the desires that matter most to you. His tears need to be the tears that matter most. His heartache needs to be the heartache that matters most. And his joy and his advice need to be the joy and advice that matter most to his desires. Everything. This is primary, and it's beautiful. Well, I think you're ready. I think you're ready. So, let me ask you, having heard these things, James, will you have this woman to be your wife, to live together in marriage? Will you love her, comfort her, honor her, and keep her in sickness and in health, so long as you both shall live?
I sure do.
And Lauren, I feel like expletive. I've never heard sure put in there. That was good. Well done. Lauren, will you have this man to be your husband, to live together in marriage? Will you love him and comfort him, honor him, and keep him in sickness and in health, as long as you both shall live?
I do.
Well, now it's time to take your vows. James, repeat after me. I, James, Hanna, sorry. Take you, Lauren, Elizabeth, Hoffman,
Lauren Elizabeth Faulkner,
to be my wedded wife,
to be my wedded wife,
to have and to hold
to have and to hold
from this day forward,
from this day forward,
for better, for worse,
for better, for worse,
for richer, for poorer,
for richer, and poorer,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish.
until we are parted by death. All right, Lauren, get back to you. I,
I,
Lauren Elizabeth Baughman,
Lauren Elizabeth Baughman,
take you,
take you,
James Hanna,
James Hanna,
to be my wedded husband,
to be my wedded husband,
to have and to hold
to have and to hold
from this day forward,
from this day forward,
for better, for worse,
for better, for worse,
for richer, for
for
poorer,
richer, for poorer,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
until we are parted by death.
until we are parted by death.
Well, in ancient times until today, what people have done is they have marked these rituals, these ceremonies that are so enmeshing with symbols. Sometimes that was done through a meal, for instance, that you would celebrate annually, and maybe you will eat your wedding cake in a year or so. I don't recommend it. Other ways that people do that is through, well, there was things like circumcision in the Old Testament. We won't do that either. But today a lot of times people mark things by tattoos. So James, if you would roll up your sleeve. Oh wait, sorry, that was a different wedding. Most of the time we do that through rings. And rings are very important. You see, because when I don't ever fight with my wife ever, but if I were to fight with my wife, if we were ever to be in a disagreement or something, and sometimes you're like, this is really hard, and I don't know what I got into, and I look down, I feel this ring, and it reminds me of this day and the promises that I made, and that we are locked into this to love one another through this. And I know we're going to make it through because we've been bound together in covenant. That's what these rings are about. And so I hope that these rings are that for you. I'm going to invite James' brother and sister up to bring the rings. May these rings be a continual reminder of the promise made this day. And in doing so, may they encourage you to greater and greater degrees of faithful and selfless love towards one another. James, if you'll take Lauren's ring and repeat after me. I give you this ring
I give you this ring
as a symbol of my promise
as a symbol of my promise
and commitment to you
and commitment to you
with all that I am
with all that I have
and all that I have.
and all that I have.
I will honor you. Does anyone have any lotion? We got it. It's all right. Lauren, you can take this ring and repeat after me. Get it. It's hard. Just tennis stroke. I give you this ring
I give you this ring
as a symbol of my promise
as a symbol of my promise
and commitment to you,
and commitment to you,
and with all that I am
and with all that I am
and all that I have,
and all that I have,
I will honor you.
I honor you.
Well, as you start on this wonderful, exciting, hard, difficult, excruciating, wonderful, exciting, beautiful adventure together, your friends are going to bless you.
It is such a treat to call you both my dear, dear friends, and while I am so excited to celebrate this day, I'm most excited about what this day symbolizes, the beginning of your future together. Please know I will be praying for you both and your commitment to love one another better. May you always bear one another's burdens. May you always have faith in one another. And may you always have hope in your future together.
To Lauren and James, may you both laugh together easily and often. May joy touch every aspect of your lives. And may your marriage be like that of a great cup of coffee, bold, full of richness, and organic to its very core. Lauren and James, I don't know if this is on, I'm just going to hold it though. I wish you two a long life of peace and joy, health, happiness, calmness. I know you'll each be each other's anchor, in the storm. And I just wish that your marriage is an inspiration to others.
Lauren, James. All right. May you find joy in each day and remain patient through the elevations of marriage. May you remember this glorious day every day as if it were yesterday. And may you sustain a strong marriage as you blossom in life together. Oh, and James, some advice from the late, great Ricky Hardin. Happy wife, happy life.
Lauren and James, may your stomachs always be full of delicious, certified organic, gluten and lactose-free.
Well, James and Lauren have consented together to live in the holy state of marriage and have done this before these gathering of witnesses. They've made vows to love one another and have declared their marriage by the giving and exchanging of rings. And so, by the powers which the state has granted me, it is my pleasure to announce you husband and wife. Wait for it. You may kiss your bride. Well, you should have bubbles in your seats, and I was told that you should, now is the time to let those fly. So harness your inner 3-year-old self and let them go. It is my great pleasure to be the first to introduce Mr. and Mrs. Hanna.
There's Bella.